Hi, researchers, scholars, and also future PhDs. Welcome back to the channel. So today we are cracking the code on one of the biggest struggle students face when writing their research papers, when writing their research projects, when writing their thesis, the dissertation. And that is how to structure and write a high value discussion section of your paper. Not the boring kind, but the kind that actually impresses your professors. It's going to win the journal reviewers. It's going to make your work shine. So grab your note because I'm giving you step-by-step formula. Plus, I'll give you a real examples that you can use immediately, which I have tried and have used. And I'm going to use one of my paper which I published, which talks about the financial risk management and artificial intelligence. So the funny thing is, after I wrote that paper, I received so many invitations for conferences on AI, on data science, on computer science. But the funny thing is, I'm not a computer scientist. I just have the interest to know how we can use the technology that we have to be able to improve on our financial management, on managing financial risk. How can we apply the technology that we have in the field of finance? So that is the funny things, and I'm going to use that example to ensure that you understand how you can be able to craft a winning, a very good discussion section of your research paper. So stay with me to the end. Step number 1, reaffirm your key findings. So here we are not talking about presenting the raw data, no tables, no address statistics. At this point, imagine you are telling your best friend. You have to imagine that you are telling your best friend. So, what is the main things that I've found in this study? What is the main things that I found in this study? So you just imagine you're trying to tell your friend what you have found. So begin by summarizing just the major findings of your study in just few sentences, summarizing your key findings that you have found. So do not repeat the raw data, just focus on the interpretation. Focus on the interpretation of your data. Don't give a lot of data, no tables, no address, statistics, all those things. You just imagine I'm telling you a story of what I did. For example, this is what I did. I picked 2 objectives from the paper, and the paper was talking about how the artificial intelligence is influencing the financial risk management. And one of the objectives is about machine learning. How can we use machine learning to help in risk management? And the other one was to issue with robotics. So this is an example. Our study found that the application of machine learning significantly enhanced financial risk management by improving risk predictions, accuracy, and early identification of potential financial threats. Similarly, the integration of robotics in financial operations contributed to faster risk detections, real-time response mechanisms, reducing the occurrence of human error. Overall, artificial intelligence technologies demonstrated a measurable positive impact on strengthening risk management frameworks in financial institutions. Full stop. So I've just given the key finding, I've just reaffirmed the key findings of the 2 objectives. If you have 3, then you have to reaffirm the 3. If you have 1, then it is 1. If it is 2, it is 2. If it is 3, if it is 4. That is how you can win the mind of your reviewer, the mind of your professors, by just focusing on the key finding. That is just one paragraph of step number 1. It should be one paragraph, but I've broken it into steps. So here, notice, we have focused on the meaning. No issues to do with the data and whatever. We just interpret. We are looking at the meaning. What were we looking at? We have no repetition of the raw data. No repetition of the raw data or the raw numbers that you are cracking, that you are analyzing. I'm just presented a storytelling tone. That's why I started by saying, imagine you are telling your friend what you found after you analyze your data. So you have to think the big picture. That is, so what of your result? What is the so what of your result? That is the big picture. So you're telling the person who is going to read your paper what you found in few sentences and in a very straightforward, strong sentence, just like telling your friend a story. So step number 2, compare with previous studies. This means in your literature review, you must have reviewed a lot of literature, some which supported your objectives, others did not support, others were neutral. So when you're analyzing your data, you might realize that your findings either contradict others, or they support others, or they are neutral. So here we are saying, here you become a detective. That is where you're comparing with other studies. You're becoming a detective. How does your discovery match or crash with others out there who did almost the same study? How does your discovery match or crash with others? So it is either you're supporting, you are against, or you are neutral. So this is what you're saying here, that explain how your results relate to existing research or literature. Explain your results. How does it relate to existing literature? Because you are not operating in a vacuum. There are a volume of studies that have been done many years. But of course, you're focusing on the current, at least 5 years. What is the current status? Comparing with what you have found. So you have to highlight the similarities, the differences, and also provide possible explanation why. For example, in my discussion about the artificial intelligence and financial risk management, you can say this, that these findings are consistent with prior research by Chen and others, 2021, who reported that machine learning algorithms, particularly the deep learning models, improved the predictions of credit risk and market volatility. However, when previous studies primarily focused on machine learning alone, our research also examines robotics, highlighting its complementary role in automating risk monitoring and mitigation activities, an area that remains less explored. This broader focus review a more integrated understanding of how different AI technologies, machines, collectively contribute to risk management. Full stop. You see now, this is what I'm saying, that you are comparing with other literature, other scholars, what they did, what is the literature saying, the one that you reviewed. Is it contradicting? Is it complementing? Is it agreeing? Is it neutral? From your analysis, you're just comparing without using numbers, without using so many things. Straightforward, very clear, direct to the point. And the bonus tip is this: if your findings disagree with others, then that is a gold. Meaning you have found something, there is a new knowledge that you have brought in the field or in your field. There is a new knowledge. It is a gold that you found that your findings disagree with so and so and so and so. That is very important. But you have to explain why. And this shows the critical thinking. You are not just copying. It shows your critical thinking, and you are not just copying what others have done. And that is the essence of doing research. Step number 3, explain the real world implications. So this is where you make it matter. What is your contribution? So you have to explain the real world implication of your study by asking yourself, why should anyone care about these findings? Why should anyone care about these findings? So what you do here, you discuss the significance of your findings in the real world. You have to bring out the significance of your finding. Explain how your study contributes to scientific knowledge or practical implication or application in the real world. And this is what makes difference. This is what makes your study matters. This is what makes people read your work. For example, in the paper that I wrote this, for example, the result underscores the transformative potential of artificial intelligence in financial risk management. By enhancing prediction, detection, and response capabilities, AI can help financial institutions minimize losses, comply with regulatory requirements more effectively, and make data-driven decisions. In practical terms, these technologies can support the creation of more resilient financial systems, especially in volatile economic environments, and could be particularly beneficial for institutions seeking to gain a competitive edge through proactive risk strategies. Full stop. So that is one part of the discussion section. So here, this is what we are understanding from this part, that there is a real world relevance, that discussion or that research has a real world relevance. There is a vision for application, and there is what we call a practical impact of the study. So don't just think like a student, think like a real world changer. You want to change what is status quo. And that is what I'm saying. You need to think like a world changer. You want to change. You are doing this study because you want to understand and change the status quo. So step number 4 is addressing limitations. So this step number 4, we're saying be honest about your limitations. No research is perfect. And if you pretend it is, then reviewers will smell it and throw it away. So you don't need to pretend that it was perfect. Your reviewer will smell it and will mail it away, will just throw it away. Because you need to own your work. You need to own it like a boss and be honest about your limitations. And this is what we are saying, you have to acknowledge the limitations of the study. And probably in terms of the sample size, in terms of the methodology you used, in terms of maybe the tools you use to analyze your data, you have to acknowledge that your research is not perfect and discuss how these limitations has affected the results. Just in a paragraph, how does these limitations affected your result? Maybe you selected a small sample size from a very big population. So the key issue here is you have to acknowledge that there is limitations. Explain how it affects your result. And you must stay confident on how you address them. So remember, honesty equals credibility. If you're honest, then your work will be credible. You will earn credibility from your reviewers. For example, from the example that you're seeing in artificial intelligence and financial risk management, you can say this, that despite these promising insights, the study faced some limitations. First, the sample size was largely composed of large financial institutions, which may not represent the experiences of smaller firms or the startups. Additionally, the analysis was based on data covering a relatively short observation, or 1 year or 2 years, limiting the ability to assess the long-term trend and risk associated with adoption of AI technologies. Furthermore, the study focused primarily on quantitative measures and did not fully explore the qualitative factors such as employee adaptations and ethical consideration allowed AIT deployment. Full stop. So you see here, you have acknowledged there was limitations. You have said how you have addressed them, how they can affect your study, and confidently you have bring out the issue. So step number 5 is suggest future research. So step number 5 is saying you need to propose future research. How do you do this? You have to show that you are not just closing the door, but you are opening the new ones for other research to continue from where you have stopped. So he's saying you need to propose areas for further investigation based on your findings. Mention any improvement or additional experiments or additional elements that can be added that could strengthen or improve the research. So you need to propose future research. For example, in the paper that we are looking at, you can say this, that future research could examine the long-term impact of AI adoption in financial risk management, particularly across different organization sizes and market contexts. Studies could also investigate how machine learning and robotics interact with human decision-making process in risk management terms. Moreover, future work should explore ethical and regulatory challenges associated with AI-based risk management systems to ensure responsible and sustainable integration. Finally, expanding the research across multiple regions and industry would provide a more comprehensive understanding of AI roles in global financial risk management. Full stop. So you have suggested the areas that other research, you have opened no door for other research on what they can do. And you have provided the significance that can come with that if other research are done from where you have stopped. So what we see here is you're bringing in fresh ideas to improve from where you have stopped. You are giving specific directions that other future researchers can follow. You are bringing also a big picture thinking. Okay? You are bringing a big picture thinking that you are not just narrow-minded. You are looking at it from a bigger perspective. And this shows maturity and it shows your respect, or it shows you respect the research journey, that it is not one-ended work. You have given up a roadmap, fresh ideas, a big picture that other people can pick from there and continue from there. So researchers, those who are doing research, those who are joining the research, those who are already in the discussion section, it is very, very critical because it is the one that summarizes what you have found, and you're giving up the direction and you're telling us what you have done. So following all this blueprint, you will be able to craft a discussion that feels alive but not lifeless. And hi, if you have found this helpful, you can smash that like button, subscribe for more research and writing hacks, and comment below. Your comments will help me to help others on areas that we can improve. So thank you very much. Until next time, see you.